I thought I knew Sarah. 15 years together, building a life, saving every spare dollar until we had $275,000 in our account. We had plans for that money. Retirement, maybe a vacation home. Then I came home early that day and saw her at our computer transferring everything away. When she noticed me, she actually laughed. "You trusted the wrong person, Nick," she said, clicking the mouse. "If you have ever been betrayed by someone you thought you knew, stick around." Let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what happened next changed everything. I met Sarah at a local coffee shop 15 years ago. I was 26, fresh out of college with my engineering degree, working at a software company downtown. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen, confidently typing away on her laptop while sipping her latte. I remember gathering every ounce of courage just to ask if I could sit at her table since the place was packed. "Only if you promise not to bother me," she said with a playful smile that melted my nervousness away. Sarah worked as an accountant at a prestigious firm across town. She was smart, ambitious, and had this infectious laugh that could brighten any room. We clicked, instantly talking until the coffee shop closed. By our third date, I was already falling hard. 2 years of dating flew by, and we got married in a small ceremony with close friends and family. We were young and in love, ready to build our life together. Sarah was always financially savvy, suggesting we create a joint savings account where we would deposit 20% of our salaries each month. "We need to think about our future, Nick," she explained. "Most couples fight about money, but we will be different." I admired her foresight. While my friends were blowing their paychecks on new cars and gadgets, we were methodically building our nest egg. Sarah handled most of our finances, given her accounting background. I trusted her completely with this responsibility. When I met her family, I was intimidated at first. They lived in a mansion in the wealthy part of town with luxury cars in the driveway. Her father was a successful business owner, her mother a former model. Sarah seemed different from them, though. She always told me she wanted to make her own way in life, not rely on family money or connections. "I want us to earn everything ourselves, Nick," she would say. "There's nothing more satisfying than building something from nothing." The first 5 years of our marriage were blissful. We bought a modest house in a nice neighborhood, both advanced in our careers, and our savings grew steadily. We celebrated each milestone together, from paying off our student loans to reaching $50,000, then $100,000 in savings. Life felt perfect. Around year 6, subtle changes began. Sarah started coming home late, claiming she was working overtime or having drinks with colleagues. These outings became more frequent, happening 3 or 4 times a week. When I would call her office, her coworkers often said she had left hours ago. "I am worried about you working so hard," I told her one night after she came home at 11. "The firm is pushing everyone right now," she replied, avoiding eye contact. "Year-end audits are brutal. You know how it is." I believed her because I wanted to believe her. Why would I doubt my wife? The woman who carefully managed our finances and planned our future. Other warning signs appeared that I ignored. Sarah began buying expensive clothes and jewelry. When I questioned these purchases, she claimed they were for maintaining a professional appearance at work. She started taking mysterious phone calls, stepping outside or into another room to talk in hushed tones. She avoided family gatherings with increasing frequency. One night, I accidentally glimpsed a text message on her phone while she was in the shower. It read, "Miss you already. Tomorrow same time." The sender was saved as Lisa from work. Something felt off, but I convinced myself it was innocent. After all, we had built almost a decade of trust. I chose to believe in my wife rather than the knot forming in my stomach. Our finances continued to improve as I received a significant promotion at work. My salary jumped by 30%, allowing us to accelerate our savings. By our 14th anniversary, we had reached $275,000 in our joint account. We were on track to hit our goal of $500,000 by age 45. Sarah became increasingly interested in investment opportunities. She started talking about a friend who had an exclusive investment opportunity that could double our money within a year. "We should put at least $200,000 into this venture," she suggested one evening. "My friend says the returns are guaranteed." This triggered my alarm bells. As a software engineer, I had been taught to question things that seemed too good to be true. What exactly is this investment? Do we have any documentation? Who is managing the fund? Sarah became defensive immediately. Why do you not trust me? Have I ever steered us wrong financially? This is a limited-time opportunity, and we need to move quickly. Her reaction was disproportionate to my simple questions. This was not the Sarah I knew, who had always been methodical and transparent about our finances. Nevertheless, I apologized for seeming distrustful but insisted on learning more before committing such a large sum. The tension at home escalated. Sarah spent even less time at the house, and when she was home, she was distant and cold. One Tuesday evening, I came home early from work with a migraine. As I approached our bedroom to lie down, I heard Sarah on the phone. "He is still resistant," she said in a hushed voice. "But I can convince him. Just give me a little more time." I know. The account is in both our names, but we need his approval for transfers this large." "No, he suspects nothing about us." My blood turned cold. I retreated silently, left the house, and drove around aimlessly for hours trying to process what I had just heard. Who was she talking to? What was she planning? I could not confront her without revealing I had overheard her conversation, so I decided to watch more carefully. The following week I told Sarah I had a 3-day conference out of town. Instead, I stayed at a hotel downtown and hired a private investigator named Thomas to follow her. Thomas had been recommended by my college roommate, who went through a similar situation years earlier. 2 days later, Thomas showed me photos of Sarah meeting a well-dressed man at an upscale restaurant downtown. They were holding hands across the table, kissing in the parking lot. The man drove a Ferrari and dropped Sarah off a block from our house. His name is James Wilson, Thomas informed me. He presents himself as a successful entrepreneur, but he has multiple fraud charges in his past. He has been linked to several investment scams, targeting wealthy individuals or couples. The floor seemed to drop from beneath me. I had Thomas run a complete background check on James, while I discreetly checked our bank accounts. There had been several small test withdrawals over the past months. Nothing that would raise immediate alarms, but together they totaled nearly $15,000. I consulted with a lawyer without telling Sarah. He advised me to gather evidence, but warned that since our savings account was joint, legally either of us could withdraw the funds. The only protection would be to act before she did. The next morning I told Sarah I was heading to work, but instead parked down the street and doubled back on foot. Through our bedroom window I could see her on the phone while seated at our computer. I used my key to quietly enter and stood in the hallway listening. "Yes, I am doing it now," she said excitedly. $275,000. "We can be in Mexico by tomorrow night." "Yes, the flight is booked." "No, he has no idea." I stepped into the doorway. No idea about what Sarah. The color drained from her face as she saw me standing there. The computer screen showed our bank account and a transfer in progress. For a moment she seemed frozen, then something changed in her expression. The shock was replaced by a cold smile. "Well, this is awkward timing," she said with a laugh that sent chills down my spine. "You trusted the wrong person, Nick." "What are you doing?" "That is our life savings," I managed to say. Correction. It was our life savings. Now it is my fresh start with James. She continued, clicking through the transfer confirmation. "You are too naive for this world, you know that. 15 years and you never questioned anything. Never checked the accounts. Never wondered why I stayed with a middle-class engineer when I could have had so much more." Her words cut deeper than any knife. 15 years of memories flashed before my eyes, every moment now tainted with doubt. Was any of it real? Had she ever loved me? "Stop the transfer, Sarah. We can talk about this," I pleaded. "Too late," she said, showing me the confirmation screen. "It is done." She stood up and pulled a packed suitcase from under our bed. She must have prepared it earlier, expecting to leave while I was at work. The phone in her hand buzzed with a text. "That will be James," she said, checking the message. "He says the money arrived safely in our offshore account." I would say I am sorry, but honestly I am not. You were always just a stepping stone, Nick. A safe, reliable option, while I planned for something better. I watched in stunned silence as my wife of 15 years packed the last of her things, mocking the life we had built together. "You are too naive for this world," she repeated, zipping her suitcase closed. I stood frozen as Sarah walked past me with her suitcase, the scent of her expensive perfume lingering in the air. At the bedroom door she paused and looked back at me with something almost like pity. "James and I will be in Cabo San Lucas by tomorrow afternoon. New identities, new life, your money. Do not try to find us. Just accept that you lost." She dangled her wedding ring in front of me before dropping it on the floor. "Consider this my divorce papers." After Sarah left, I collapsed onto our bed, our entire relationship flashing before my eyes like a cruel highlight reel. Every anniversary, every vacation, every whispered promise of forever, all of it had been a calculated act. The betrayal was so complete, so devastating that I could barely breathe. For hours I just lay there paralyzed by shock and grief. But as the initial numbness began to fade, something else started to take its place. A cold, clear determination. Sarah thought she knew me completely, thought I would just accept defeat and victimhood. She had severely underestimated me. By evening I had called Marcus Goldstein, reputed to be the best lawyer in the city. Despite the late hour, he agreed to see me immediately after hearing the urgency in my voice. I brought copies of all our financial statements, the photos from Thomas, the private investigator, and recordings of Sarah's conversations I had secretly made that morning. "The good news," Marcus said after reviewing everything, "is that your wife has made several critical mistakes. First, she admitted her intent to commit fraud while you were recording. Second, the transfer was just initiated this morning, which means we have a small window to act." He explained that international transfers of large amounts typically take 24 to 72 hours to fully clear due to anti-fraud regulations and banking protocols. Sarah had changed the password to the account, but Marcus immediately filed emergency documents with the bank and contacted the Financial Crimes Unit of the police department. "I know the head of fraud investigation at First National," Marcus said, already dialing. "David, I have an active financial crime in progress. I need your team to freeze an account immediately." While Marcus worked on the legal side, I did some investigating of my own. Using my software skills, I managed to recover deleted emails from our home computer. Sarah had been in contact with James for over a year, their correspondence revealing an elaborate plan to drain our savings and disappear. I forwarded everything to Marcus and the police. Most damning of all, I discovered that James had done this before. He had 3 previous identities and had seduced wealthy women across several states, convincing them to liquidate their assets before disappearing with the money. Sarah was not his partner, she was his next victim, though she did not know it yet. That night I stayed at a hotel downtown, unable to bear being in our house surrounded by 15 years of lies. I barely slept, my mind racing with questions. How could I have been so blind? Were there signs I had missed? The painful answer was yes. There had been dozens of red flags I had chosen to ignore because of my trust in our relationship. 24 hours after Sarah left, my phone rang with her number. I almost did not answer, but something told me I should hear what she had to say. "Nick." Her voice sounded different, shaky and uncertain. "I need to talk to you." "About what, Sarah?" "How you stole our life savings, or how you betrayed 15 years of marriage." "Please," she whispered, a sob breaking through. "James is gone. He took everything. The money, my jewelry, even my passport. He left me stranded in a hotel in San Diego. I have nothing." A bitter laugh escaped me. "So your partner in crime double-crossed you. Is that what you are calling about?" "I made a terrible mistake," she cried. "I was stupid and greedy, and I need your help, Nick. I cannot even pay for this hotel room. Could you wire me just enough to get home? We can talk about everything. Figure something out." "Figure something out, Sarah. You stole $275,000 from me yesterday. You laughed while doing it. You mocked our entire relationship. I know, but the money. Maybe we can still get it back if we act quickly. James had me transfer it to what he said was our joint account, but I cannot access it. If we work together, maybe we can recover it." I let her talk, letting her believe I was considering helping her. All the while, Marcus was texting me updates. The bank had successfully frozen the receiving account after only $45,000 had been transferred out. The police had a warrant for Sarah's arrest for grand larceny and conspiracy to commit fraud. The IRS was involved, as well as Sarah and James had planned to evade taxes with their scheme. "I will think about it," I finally told her. "Come back to town and we can discuss options." "Thank you, Nick," Sarah said, relief evident in her voice. "I knew you would help me, you always do." I ended the call without responding to that last manipulative comment. Sarah had no idea what awaited her upon her return. She still thought she could control me, use my feelings for her to her advantage. She was wrong. 2 days after she left, Sarah showed up at my office building. I watched from my window as she paced outside, trying to call me repeatedly. I had blocked her number after our last conversation. When I finally went downstairs, she rushed toward me. Her designer clothes now wrinkled, her perfect makeup gone. "Nick, thank God I have been trying to reach you. I went to the bank, but they said our account is frozen." "What did you do?" "I protected what was mine, Sarah. What was ours before you decided to steal it." Her face contorted with anger. "You had no right. That money is half mine. Actually, the courts might disagree, especially after they review the evidence of your conspiracy with a known fraudster." As if on cue, 2 police officers approached from a patrol car parked nearby. A man in a suit followed them, showing his badge to Sarah. "Sarah Johnson," the detective said. "I am Detective Rodriguez with the Financial Crimes Unit. You are under arrest for grand larceny, conspiracy to commit fraud, and attempted tax evasion. You have the right to remain silent." Sarah's scream of rage echoed through the parking lot as the officers handcuffed her. She thrashed and yelled, all pretense of remorse gone. "This is not over, Nick. You cannot do this to me. That money is mine too." I watched in silence as they placed her in the police car, her threats still pouring out the window as they drove away. It was over. Not the way I had ever imagined our marriage ending, but it was over. The aftermath of Sarah's betrayal left my life in shambles. The joint account remained frozen during the investigation, though Marcus eventually helped me regain access to most of the funds. Unfortunately, James had managed to transfer $45,000 to another account before the freeze took effect, money that would likely never be recovered. Criminal charges against Sarah mounted as investigators uncovered more evidence. Not only had she planned to steal our joint savings, but she had been siphoning small amounts from my personal checking account for months. The prosecution offered her a plea deal, 5 years instead of 15, if she helped them locate James Wilson, her accomplice, and the mastermind behind multiple similar schemes. The divorce proceedings were ugly but straightforward. With evidence of her criminal activity, Sarah had no legitimate claim to our assets. The judge granted me the house, the remaining savings, and a clean break from the woman who had shattered my trust so completely. Living alone in the house we had shared for over a decade was haunting. Every corner held memories now poisoned by betrayal. I could not sleep in our bedroom, choosing instead the guest room, where her presence felt less immediate. Some nights I would sit in the dark living room until sunrise, replaying our years together, searching for the moment when everything became a lie. 3 months after Sarah's arrest, I joined a support group for victims of relationship fraud. The stories I heard there helped me understand I was not alone. Men and women from all walks of life shared similar experiences of betrayal by those they had trusted most. One member, Amanda, had lost her inheritance to a man who operated with the same tactics as James. Her story particularly resonated with me. "The hardest part was not losing the money," Amanda said during one session. "It was losing my ability to trust. I started seeing ulterior motives in everyone, even my own family." I knew exactly what she meant. The world had become a darker place in my eyes. Every interaction, every relationship, now seemed potentially transactional, hiding secret agendas. The psychological damage went far deeper than the financial loss. Marcus suggested I sell the house and start fresh somewhere else. "Too many ghosts there, Nick," he said over lunch one day. "You need a clean slate." He was right. 6 months after Sarah's departure, I sold our home and moved to a downtown apartment. I took a new position at another tech company, pouring myself into work as a distraction from the lingering pain. Amanda and I started meeting for coffee outside of the support group. There was comfort in talking to someone who truly understood the unique pain of this kind of betrayal. We became friends, helping each other navigate the complicated process of rebuilding trust in ourselves and others. You know what I realized recently, Amanda told me one evening? What happened to us does not define who we are. It only defines who they were. Those words struck me profoundly. I had been allowing Sarah's betrayal to reshape my entire identity, viewing myself as the fool who had been taken advantage of. But her actions revealed her character, not mine. My willingness to trust had been a strength, not a weakness, even if it had been misplaced in Sarah. 1 year after that fateful day when I caught Sarah transferring our savings, I attended her sentencing hearing. She had eventually accepted a plea deal testifying against James, who had been captured trying to run the same scheme on a wealthy widow in Florida. Seeing Sarah in her prison uniform, all her previous glamour stripped away, I felt no satisfaction, only a deep sadness for the life we could have had if her heart had been genuine. As I was leaving the courthouse, Sarah called out to me, "Nick, wait." I paused but did not turn around. "I am sorry," she said quietly, "for whatever that is worth now." "Take care of yourself, Sarah," I replied without looking back and walked away. Those were the last words I ever spoke to her. 18 months after the betrayal, life had found a new rhythm. The support group had given me tools to process my trauma. I had formed genuine friendships, particularly with Amanda, who had become a trusted confidant. My career was thriving, and I had started to rebuild my savings, this time with a much more active role in managing my finances. I even began dating again cautiously. Melissa, a graphic designer I met through a work project, understood my hesitation around trust issues. She was patient, never pushing for more than I could give emotionally. With time, I found myself opening up to the possibility of a real connection again. The scars remained, yes. I would probably never trust anyone completely the way I had trusted Sarah. But perhaps that was not entirely bad. A healthy skepticism balanced with an open heart seemed like a wiser approach to relationships of all kinds. Looking back on that terrible day when my world collapsed, I realized something important. Sarah had called me naive, meant it as an insult, a weakness she had exploited. But there was a certain strength in being willing to see the good in others, to build a life on trust rather than suspicion. The trick was learning the difference between naive trust and earned trust. The money that Sarah and James had stolen, while significant, was just money. I could earn more. The lessons I had learned, though painful, were invaluable. I had discovered my own resilience, had built a new community of genuine friendships, and had reclaimed my ability to hope for something better. The night before the 2-year anniversary of Sarah's betrayal, I sat on the balcony of my new apartment watching the city lights. I felt something I had not expected to feel again so soon: peace. Not complete healing, not yet, but a sense that the worst was behind me. I still have moments when the pain resurfaces, when trust feels impossible. But those moments grow fewer with time. I have learned to recognize red flags without seeing danger in every interaction. I have learned that vulnerability takes courage, but isolation is not the answer. What has your experience taught you about trust and betrayal? Have you ever had to rebuild your life after someone broke your faith in them? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with someone who might need to hear that healing is possible after betrayal. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, our worst moments do not define our entire journey. The scars remain, but they have become a map showing me where I have been, not where I am limited to go.